We gon' run it, hit the field, blast off, watch them all fall. This is AFC North Talk. Got me hype, it's about to be a touchdown. Got the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and the Browns. Are you listening? It's time to get it hype. Tune in when the season poppin'. Yeah, we going live. Hey, knock 'em out. Ay, first down, going hard. Yes, indeed. AFC North Talk. Let's go. Hey, AFC North Talk.
Welcome to another edition, and we finally made it. I was talking yesterday to a coworker. It's like, damn, we're closer to football than we thought. Because I know once we start the rankings, by the time we finish the rankings, we usually take like a small break, and then it's like preseason and bam, right? So we're there. We're here, and I'm like, damn, we're here already. I feel like the season.
We don't know when we close to the season. Did you have your tryout for the Ravens wide receivers yet?
No, but it's coming up.
Ace, did you get yours? I got mine scheduled on Monday.
I got mine, man. They told me I was the right age too. You know, mid-30s. It was like we need.
That makes sense. They said I was too young. They said, we wait to call it a couple years when you hit 30, kid. We might have a spot on the roster for you,
dude. You're talking about that, but Steelers probably looking more sharp. But anyway, we'll talk about that when we get to the receiving room. Today is the QB room.
I don't know, Sonny. I saw somebody begging for Rashad Bateman to get 600 yards.
I mean, Bate. I think Bate gets between 4 and 6.
No, somebody was like, "Hey, man, it's not over with Bateman. He can definitely put together a 600-yard season." I still believe. I'm like, damn,
600. Yeah, it's supposed to be. That should be his floor. For a first round pick,
they are begging for Rashad Bateman to
stealing at this point. I don't know.
They are begging Rashad Bateman to produce what would be Jerry Jeudy's worst year by 100 yards.
I think Ravens fans, including myself, were shocked when he got extended. We were like, for real, Rashad Bateman?
Well, so money wise wasn't crazy, right? He chose flash. I think per average is like 8.
Okay.
So obviously there's a bonus that you give like for signing bonus or whatever it was. He was not eligible to a fifth year because of the time that he got injured. So he definitely got like a wide receiver 3 money. He got wide receiver 3 money, which is the production that he has had so far.
That 600 is definitely the ceiling, considering that 515 is his career
wide receiver 3 for the Ravens production. He hasn't had wide receiver 3 production though. Like trip set, like a team that runs a ton of 11 personnel. Like you usually expect like 650. Like what? Tyler Boyd at least get like 800.
Yeah, like that's Zay's world now, man. That's Zay's whole room right now. I don't know how much Rashad Bateman is contributing, especially now that y'all got Devontae Walker.
Walker.
Rashad Bateman be giving you dude who be on the team to run end around production. That's what he been giving.
Devin
Duvernay production.
Anyway, I'm not gonna talk about this because this is another day's show. Let's talk about QB ranking. Before we start, I do want to say this. J-Rock couldn't be here. He had a situation. He's okay. So shout out to our guy J-Rock. Hopefully he's doing okay. He did sing his rankings. So we'll go through his rankings so far. So we're gonna start with J-Rock's rankings. Let me see. It's here. By the way, also there is a poll out there. So if you want to vote, so you can see who will be the fan favorite, it's out there. So okay, number 4 J-Rock. Number 4 QB room. Browns with Watson. He really didn't. He didn't really.
J-Rock.
I feel like every year the Steelers. I mean, last year was Tony, obviously, but I feel like they pushed the Browns a little bit down.
Every year, the Steelers representative puts the Browns at 4. Every year, we're like, well, the Steelers clearly had the worst quarterback situation. Like,
So Q.
Even when we started Jacoby Brissett for 11 games, we felt like that. But
So in the case of the J-Rock didn't explain why, but he feels like fourth is like Watson and company. To be fair, in QB for me, it's the only one that unless I feel like 1 and 2 are exactly the same, the room matters a little bit
don't
less.
do this. You did the room a couple years ago. You did the room.
Yeah.
You did the room when y'all had
the Pro Bowler, right? But what I was gonna say is,
I'm about to say
the thing in the Browns right now, the Browns have like the deepest. If you think Watson and Russ are comparable, and then you have to go to number 2, like the Browns have definitely the deepest by far. Like they have 2 QB3, they're solids. Anyway, I don't want to give up my rank, but I'm gonna go with you, Q. Who's your number 4?
Oh, it's Pittsburgh. Even if you live in a world where Deshaun Watson's potential and Russell Wilson's potential are like similar, the big difference is that Russell Wilson is 35 and Deshaun Watson is 28 or 29 years old.
Man, he's still under 30. I feel like he's been in the league forever.
Yeah, that's a big difference, right? That's a big difference in age there. Look, I think Russ makes your team worse. I think there's tangible evidence that Russ makes your team worse. What was Seattle a better team after they lost Russ?
They were. And Denver was
what
a worse
makes
team,
somebody think we could start Geno Smith and then the next team gets him and they decide they're going to start who? Anybody but you. Anybody but you. Like literally, that is what it's been with Russ. Both teams that have lost him recently have been like literally anybody but you could start and we'd be better. And they probably will be better. Remember, Denver was a team that was in the run to get Aaron Rodgers because they were a quarterback away from a championship. They get Russell Wilson for 2 years, and they are one of the shittiest teams in the league.
Yeah. No life there.
Yeah. And then what? Seattle goes to being a fringe playoff team when they were pretty mediocre the last couple years of Russ. He does not make your team better. I feel like Russ makes your team worse. He is a volume scorer who does not do well in any efficiency stats. I mean, Ace, you've had guys on the Lakers like that. Mm-hmm. Like, throw me a name of a guy who like, oh, well, he puts up points. He should be better for you, but you trade for him, you get worse.
Carlos Boozer.
Carlos Boozer. Old Luau Dang.
Luau Dang, but we're still probably paying.
Yeah. Oh, but he gets 22 and 8. Yeah. So he clearly makes the team worse. I don't think Russ makes you better. I think they'll be a better team when they start Justin Fields. Not because I think Justin Fields is a better quarterback, just because he's not Russ. And Russ makes you worse. He does not check. He does not see the field. He does not throw the middle of the field. He gets a lot of sacks. He turns the ball over still. And then he also gets sacked like 40 yards behind the line of scrimmage a lot of times.
Yeah.
And let's add the most important piece of all of this. Don't nobody like him.
That is true. I can't wait to see the dynamic between him and Pickens.
I don't even think it's going to be Pickens. I think him and Pickens going to be fine because Russ can do 2 things: throw a deep ball and throw a deep post. And what's the 2 things we know George Pickens can do?
That's his routes.
2 things, right? They're going to be fine. You know who going to hate Russ? Najee Harris. That's who going to hate Russ. Always checking into a weird protection, getting mad at me because I'm not blocking the person, because I'm blocking the person you told me to block, but you didn't set the protection right. And look at every single one of Russ's running backs. They all hate him.
Yeah, you know who also is not a fan of Russ now that I'm thinking about? The tight ends. And Farmouth is there was ascending, right? Trying to get a contract. He's going year 3.
Runners. Right? Anybody whose job is actually dependent on the quarterback being where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there. Also, like, let's be real. We really think they're going to bash together Russell Wilson, Arthur Smith, and whatever bad funk the Steelers have had in that building regarding the offense and cook up something good. Like what smells good coming out of that kitchen? Like, I want to know for Pittsburgh fans, what smells good coming out of that kitchen? There is nothing that smells good about that offense coming out of that kitchen. There's nothing, not a damn thing. You got George Pickens and a bunch of rotten herb and spices. And then you got Chef Russ putting it together. What? Who wants to eat there? Do you want to eat at the restaurant, Cole? I mean, do you want to eat at the restaurant, Sonny?
I know.
Do you want to eat at that restaurant, Ace?
That restaurant is burning down, bro.
Hell no, nobody. You wonder if that restaurant is up to code. Like, let's be real about it. I know Steeler fans love to live in delusion. I got clipped by a Steeler website. I'll probably get clipped again before the season starts because they're mad that I'm telling y'all this about Russ. But y'all not about to clip me in October and November when this shit turns out to be true. We know what it is with Russ. We know how this is going to end up. We know how the Steelers offense has been since 2018.
Yeah. Do you think this is the year that Tomlin goes ball? Because he can't deal with the stress of this team?
He already bought.
He will go full clean, everything. He will go everything.
This is the year where Tomlin cuts a press conference off short. This is the year where Tomlin just outright benches somebody. This is the year where Tomlin don't wait 18 weeks to do what needs to be done at quarterback. Tomlin going to see this stuff in 6 weeks and be like, all right, this is obviously not going to work. Look, man, Russ, you might have that. Russ got that taper on. He fooling people down there. That's still Russell Wilson. I see you. Okay. Like, we've seen this, man. So, yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Also, like, I love how we're now overrating Justin Fields because he has a Steelers jersey on. But, like, none of us were worried about playing Justin Fields when he's been on our schedule the last 2 years. Hell, we've been excited about it. So, but now he on the Steelers. I'm supposed to be worried when I've been excited when I saw Justin Fields and the Bears on the rock. Like, come on.
I'm gonna tell you a quote that I just saw online that applies to this. So, this is from Broncos head coach Sean Payton about his quarterbacks. He says, "They're all orphan dogs. They all come from somewhere." That's what it feels like with the Steelers QB room. They just orphan dogs that they just took, and they're gonna put there, and they're gonna see.
I want to know who the third quarterback that's going to start a game for Pittsburgh going to be this year because they're going to start 3. Who the third dude on that roster?
You think they're gonna start 3?
Yeah.
I don't even know who they have. I don't know who their QB3 is.
I saw somebody say, "Hey, Russ stabilizes that room for Pittsburgh." What? Did he stabilize anything for Denver? Denver got him and decided, you know what, dog, we'll take Bo Nix. First round. Okay. That's what Russ did to them. They saw Bo Nix and said, yeah, that's a first round pick. That's better than Russ. That's what happened to him.
Kyle Allen is the
Kyle Allen, he gonna get a start. Wow. Kyle Allen gonna get a start at some point. And you know what? He probably gonna win that start. Against a good team, too, because that's how Pittsburgh rolls. I make no mistake about it. I still think Pittsburgh's going to be a good team. But if you think this team's going to be better because of the quarterback situation, you are fooled. Like, but this is the same fan base that fell in love with Kenny Pickett after 2 preseason games and started getting receipts on me over 2 preseason games just to be rooting for Mason and Rudolph. And shout out to Tony, because I know he felt like J. Cole when he heard the Mason Rudolph chants by that fan base. He's like, boy, I got out right in time. Maybe I'm too low on this. Maybe my hatred of the Pittsburgh Steelers is dictating how I feel about this. But one thing I do know better than anybody who is a panelist on this show is what trash quarterback situations look like. And I'm telling you right now, this reminds me of 2012. Okay.
So for me, it's easy to say Steelers. For me, Steelers are easy number 4. I'm actually surprised that J-Rock put the Browns at 4th, but the Steelers. The only thing that I have to disagree here is I don't think it's weird because their record wasn't bad. So I don't know if they're gonna be worst, but I actually think the record might be worse. But I don't think offensively they will look worse. Like last year, that offense was so bad, was anemic. It's just that defense pulled them, right? We talk about that defense was able to keep them into games, and then they will have a random good play that was just enough to make them win. I don't think they're going to be that bad, but I don't know if their record is going to be better, which is kind of crazy to say. But the problem that I have is Firemouth, which I think is their best offensive player. I think he's gonna hate life. I will not be surprised if he's underneath asking for trades.
We're gonna forget Freiermuth exists, and he gonna get to sign to Kansas City for like $8 million because of all of this. We about to give Kansas City another one just because. You know? Like, this is how it happens.
So Firemouth, we will see. Not Najee, because you guys know what I believe about Najee, but the other guy, Warren.
Jalen Warren.
Warren's gonna also hate life. Warren's gonna be like, what is up with this team? We go from bad to worst, which is kind of crazy. You think about the Steelers as a historic franchise, and they still are, but they are right now in the place that we said 3 years ago that they can end up being, which was that QB, right? and they're taking 2 shots. And to be fair to them, their shots were cheap, meaning they didn't give up anything for Russ, not even money. And for Justin, also they gave up a 6th-round pick. So at least versus the Broncos, they gave out 3 first-round for Russ. We can say this is a low-risk move.
Let me tell you something.
Go ahead.
You know who was a low-risk move when the Browns signed RG3 in 2016? Yeah, real low risk. High reward. Low risk is a synonym for something else, which is not good. Okay.
Fair enough.
A low risk quarterback move. Let me tell you, there's not a quarterback worth getting that's low risk. There's not one.
Especially as a starter.
Yeah, if you're operating in low risk quarterback worlds, you're starting Cody Kessler, Kevin Hogan, and RG3. You know how I noticed? This is what I lived through. This is what low risk quarterback moves get you. I say this all the time. The Browns were in quarterback hell for 20 years because they refused to take risk at the position. They weren't drafting guys at the top of the first round, like Ben Roethlisberger. They refused to take chances. They refused to go after free agents that were available. They wanted to make the safe play. And Pittsburgh likes to make the safe play. And making the safe play at quarterback is how you end up not having a quarterback over the long term.
Yeah, but I wonder if because they swing and miss with Kenny, if they're thinking, or Tomlin specifically, Tomlin's like, I cannot deal with a young guy, right? Like, I can't do this. Let me go with the veteran. And then he just saw Wilson. Because to be honest, we all said, like, at least I remember me saying, I think some of you also said it, like, the Steelers should go after Kirk. Because Kirk at least is stable. Like, Kirk will give them a better chance. They didn't try Kirk. I understand the money situation. Anyway, I have the Steelers at 4th as well. Ace, who do you have at 4th?
Come on, man. We're really doing this. We really doing it. Come on, man. We know who I got at 4th, man. Come on. Let Russ cook. Let him burn Pittsburgh to the ground. They paid this dude $85 million to leave.
That's true.
Bo Nix, you know who else they took? They said we good with Zach Wilson over Russ Wilson.
Oh, that's right. Right. I forgot.
We'd rather acquire Zach Wilson than start Russ. And by the way, Ace, just to add to your point, somebody else paid him $40 to go away.
That's right,
man. Like, and here's the other thing. Like, I'm not as like. I feel like Justin Fields is a good fantasy player. Good fantasy players don't technically end up being good quarterbacks, right? Like, we've seen Tim Tebow be able to score fantasy points. We've seen Terrell Pryor at quarterback for the Raiders be able to score fantasy points. That doesn't mean that he's a good quarterback. And I think from what I've heard from listening to Greg Cosell and people talk about the Justin Fields situation was that a lot of people turned on the film and they just felt like he couldn't make NFL throws. They felt like he was not an NFL quarterback. All of the stuff that they saw from him that they had warning flags about when he came out, apparently they still feel like are there. So to me, like, I think the kid has a higher ceiling than Russ at this point, but I don't know if he actually probably fits this offense better than Russell Wilson. And that's the thing that nobody's talking about. Russell Wilson does not fit the offense that they want to run there. Sonny just sat there and said, like, oh, this Steelers offense was really bad last year. Hey, Sonny, did you watch Falcons games? Their offense was really bad last season as well. And that's
they drafted B. John Robinson and went down in rushing numbers.
It went down. And then, it's just
they
not
drafted Kyle Pitts and ended up throwing the ball to tight end.
They had him block. So George Pickens is going to be in hell. Like, George Pickens is going to want to riot after week 3 of that offense where all they do is just run the ball. So Russell Wilson being in that offense, I just don't feel like he's the guy for them. Pittsburgh has been a place that also has tended to let cancerous locker room guys just kind of set up in there ever since the AB days. So I don't think Russell Wilson is the right player to inject into that locker room where he's going to be able to say whatever he wants. There's a lot of people that don't like Russell Wilson. It seems like at this point, we saw that in Denver. We saw that in Seattle. I mean, if there's smoke, it's got to be something true to it. So for them to go and go with Russell Wilson, this was the only job that Russell Wilson can get at this point. So we got to keep it a buck there. But I just don't see it working, especially in the AFC North. He's going against all of these defenses in this division. Of course, the Steelers are going to be okay. They were able to win games with Mason Rudolph last year. They were able to win games with Kenny Pickett. So will they win games? Yes, but it will not be because of their quarterback. I'm going to tell you that right now. And there's a reason why they only committed to these guys for 1 year because, like Q said, they're low risk. And usually that means that these are guys that are not really that good. And if you have a quarterback competition, which I really think that they do, they're trying to say that Russ is a starter. We will see. But if you got a quarterback competition going on, that always means one thing. You don't have a quarterback. So for that reason, I have to put the Steelers here at 4. It's not one of the worst, QB rooms in the league, but I think if you're talking about this division, considering
probably close
division, they're definitely 4 for sure.
I would say they're one of the few QB rooms I look at, and I'm like, well, at least in this division, they're the only QB room I look at. I'm like, there's tangible evidence that their quarterback play is going to make them worse. Everyone else, I'm like, bare minimum neutral to positive fact when we talk about Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. So, I look, man, Russ is only getting older, and it hasn't been pretty the last couple of years. And now he's in a new offense that's going to ask him to be on time. This is a Shanahan style offense. Russ don't ever be on time. I think this going to look bad.
So for number 3, by the way, J-Rock here says the Steelers. He says Ullman, Russ, or Justin Fields. Russ, Fields, and he includes Watson, all struggles with consistency and can lose a game. On the flip side, they can win you games as well, but again, they're inconsistent. That's what J-Rock said. Between 3 and 4, I just wanted to make sure we didn't spill the bean before. So J-Rock has the Steelers 3. So Q, I'm gonna go back to you. Who do you have at number 3?
Oh, firmly, the Cleveland Browns are at 3. Deshaun Watson has a lot to prove, and the one thing he has proven, if you look at his track record over the last he really played 5 games last year. I know people like to give him credit for that 6 win, but he played 5 games last year. He was 4-1. I think it was 3-3. So he has shown that you can win with him at quarterback at the very least. He's not going to stand in the way. I thought last year he did a lot of things in the fourth quarters of those games that he won, especially that suggested to me that he can put games away in the fourth, which is very important for a quarterback, right? He did it versus Cincinnati in the opening week of the season. He did it versus Tennessee, Arizona, and he did it versus Baltimore, where he was able to help the Browns put the game away. And I don't know if that's going to be enough for this team to reach what they want to, if he's going to play better than that. But if that's what he is, then that's a quarterback that you can win games with at the very least. So, not knowing where he's going to take it from there, you can't even begin to entertain a conversation where he's above Joe Burrow or above Lamar Jackson because he did some shit 4 years ago. But I think he's comfortably in this number 3 spot because you look at Cleveland and you don't necessarily fear their quarterback situation, but you don't think it's going to has any potential to really turn into a disaster as long as he stays healthy. And even if he doesn't, you have a strong array of backup quarterbacks available for Cleveland, where you have Jameis Winston, who's had a great run as a backup, and you have Tyler Huntley, who, again, not spectacular, but somebody that will be neutral enough for you to win games with. And when you have a great defense like the Browns, it's kind of what you want your backup quarterback to be. Now, I could be petty and mention that the Browns have 3 Pro Bowlers as their quarterbacks, and nobody else can touch that feat. But obviously, you don't want a ton of Pro Bowlers in your quarterback room. You would rather just have like one really good one. And that's where you get into the conversation of these other 2 dudes who, right now they're at the top of the league.
Yeah, I will add to this. I also have the Browns. I struggle with this. Between the 3 QBs, right? We talk about Lamar, we talk about Burrow and Watson. I'm struggling sometimes to figure who has the most pressure, right? Lamar has the pressure once the postseason gets. Can he make it to the big game, right? In the case of Burrow, there is the question health-wise, right? Is he gonna be playing one healthy season, one season to be hurt? Can he take Cincinnati back to the Super Bowl? In the case of Watson, it's very interesting because you see a Browns team that was taking legitimately random dudes. I mean, Joe Flacco's not a random dude, but he was in the half of the league.
Random.
Yeah, we talk about the Ravens bringing outside linebackers that were highly productive. You talk about Joe Flacco also mid-season coming here and was able to push the Browns to the playoff, not necessarily because of him, but because the roster of the Browns was so good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the pressure that the Watson should be big because this guy was Pro Bowl guy, top 10 in the league before what happened, with him. But it wasn't like a catastrophic injury, right? It was off-field stuff. And you see, go ahead.
Do you think there would be, because like you're saying pressure, I would argue it's the opposite, because I get what you're saying where the Browns were able to be 11-5 with 5 different quarterbacks. So they should be able to get it. I think that's pressure on the team to be that good. But when you do have a team that's that good, does it really put the pressure on you, or is it less pressure because it's less required of you individually in order to get there? Like,
I don't disagree. So, but
I don't think
the question here is
for like 4,000 or 5,000 yards.
I'm not even saying that. Not statistically. Doesn't matter his stats. Because for the Browns fan, if you're here as a Browns fan and you and Watson has a year where he throws for 3,000 yards, right? And he's very efficient, very low picks, maybe 30 touchdowns, but very, very low picks, right? Or 20-something touchdown, low picks, very efficient. And you guys go, let's say 11-5 again and push through the playoffs. You're not here saying, well, his numbers weren't like top edge, amazing. But he was efficient because the Browns team right now is so well-rounded that what they need is a guy that don't F it up, right? So my point here is if Watson comes, because Watson sometimes likes to push the ball. And when he's trying to push the ball, sometimes he makes that pick, right? Which I think when Flacco thrived with the Browns was because he was basically refusing to make the picks. And then when we saw that he was willing to throw the picks, that's when we saw the Browns and that offense kind of implode because Flacco basically was like, F it, I'm just going to throw it.
I think it was more with Flacco. He just knew how that offense worked better. Like he was more experienced with the Shanahan system.
True.
And with the Kubiak system, which is the direct lineage of where he comes from.
Yeah.
And I just think he was more comfortable in working in that way and getting the ball out in rhythm. And it's the opposite thing I talk about with Russ. Russ is not somebody who could throw in rhythm. And I think Deshaun Watson is similar to that, where you don't want him to be kind of fully reliant on getting the ball out on the 7th drop, on the 7th step or 5th step, at the top of this route or whatever. You want him to have a little bit more flexibility to see things. And I think that's what the switch to Ken Dorsey is going to be. And with Joe was always throwing interceptions like throughout that entire tenure.
So my point is, so in the case of Watson, and we have Stefanski having Watson for a year and a half, right? That first year was suspended for 11 games, so he couldn't come to the. But at this point, the organization understands what Watson does best, what Watson does is his weaknesses. He definitely needs to, in my opinion, and like I said, I think all 3 of these quarterbacks have a lot of pressure individually. But in the case of Watson, if this team doesn't perform, in my opinion, close to what they performed record-wise last year, people are gonna look at him like, so what are we doing here with you? What is it that you're bringing to this team? Anyway, that's a side note. I think, and you will see in the rankings for me saying a lot of this word, that this is a room that might not be great, but has the potential to scale up. If Watson goes back to what he was with Houston and the tail before what happened, obviously we're talking about, again, a top 10 quarterback. Can he become back a top 10 quarterback? And if he become that top 10 quarterback, will this where this roster is, and again, today's the first day of the rankings, this team is very, very dangerous. But for now, I have them at 3. Ace.
Yeah, I think right now we're in a situation where we don't know exactly what Deshaun Watson on the Cleveland Browns kind of really is, right? We thought that we were going to get a lot of those questions last season. Unfortunately, he ends up having an injury, so we're not able to see that. We were able to see that the Browns were able to still make the playoffs without him, with all of those different quarterback matchups that they had. However, the one thing is they have a new offense coming in now. So, like, is it going to be better suited for Deshaun? That could improve, him as a player with it being a new offense, but that also could kind of throw a curveball in there as well. I think Deshaun, I went to bat for this guy last year. I put him second because I thought that, the previous history, all of that, I thought he was going to be able to, roll and get comfortable. And he did not look like the same Deshaun Watson. Now, he did have, I think it was one game where he kind of had like a glimpse of him, but like that literally was like the only game that I recall where he looked like his old self. So as it stands now, like the fact that you have two of these guys in this division that are in the top 5, it's kind of hard to put Deshaun Watson with so many question marks over them, but he does have the potential. And then you also have a guy like Jameis Winston, where if he's coming in or if there is a situation like that, that Jameis Winston is more than capable of doing something there. But I don't expect that this season. I think we need to see Deshaun Watson. I think Cleveland needs to see the return on that investment. And I think that that's where it is going to be a big season for him because he is paid and everything like that. But given the return that you've gotten from the contract that you gave him, you just want to see him look like Deshaun Watson. He doesn't necessarily have to be that guy from like 3 seasons ago, but he needs to look closer to that guy than he
needs to be able to, like, I don't necessarily need him to carry the team, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow and the defense isn't having a great night and you need to put up points, like, you need to be able to hit that gear, right? Yeah. I think that's where I think this season's going to be judged with Deshaun. It's not really going to be about the cumulative numbers. It's going to be about the very intangible impact when you're like watching the game and you're feeling like, hey, can we keep up with Lamar? Can we keep up with Joe? Can we keep up with Pat? Can we keep up with Josh Allen? Right? Like, that has to be the thing. The thing that encourages me is that second half versus Baltimore, you were able to come back from 14 because you were able to keep up with Lamar offensively, partly because Deshaun Watson was running and throwing the ball pretty well in that second half. And it's a job that's usually reserved for a quarterback a little bit older than him. It's going to be interesting to see, like, if he can adjust to that and be used to not having to make the big play, because we don't need him to run to keep the offense on the field. That's what Nick Chubb's for, right? We don't need him to run to keep the game close. That's what the defense is there for. But we do need him in those clutch fourth quarter moments. Can he put football games away? And I think that's where the bulk of that $45 million a year is going to be spent trying to secure is, hey, put the games away, because that's one thing Baker Mayfield can never do consistently is put these games away in fourth quarter, which kind of held back the Browns' potential when he was here.
Shout out to Habitual Line. He has a super sticker. It's a thumbs up. We appreciate you. We appreciate all the super chats. All super chats we make sure we read. So thank you for all the super chat donations. Okay, 2-1. This is where the rubber meets the road. Oh yeah, let me see what J-Rock says.
Easiest quarterback rankings that we've ever done.
Less controversial. I think this is probably one of the least controversial.
I don't know. It always gets shaky when you talk about these two guys.
Yeah.
Because let's be real. We know that each fan base is gonna go with their guy. It's that close where you reside to your corner on this one. But I think there's a very clear argument for one side to make that I don't think the other side's gonna have a great rebuttal for. But we're gonna see what happens.
So J-Rock put Bengals Joe Shiesty, healthy Joe Shiesty, to quote him. So I'm gonna go with you, Ace, since he named the Bengals. Who do you have at number 2?
I mean, I've got Lamar Jackson at number 2, man. For me, I think either of these guys, you could flip a quarter and go with them. You could give Lamar it based off of the regular season and the MVPs, but I feel like we all kind of learned last season after watching every type of team try to take down the Chiefs that no one has gotten closer and no one's been able to do it outside of Joe Burrow. And I think Joe Burrow, he has had health issues, but so has Lamar. Like, you could say the same about both of them. They both missed multiple seasons. They both gone down during times throughout the season. So if you're going on an injury bug, I feel like that applies to both of them.
Sonny, has Lamar ever needed surgery, though?
No.
Okay, that is a significant difference, though.
But has he missed seasons? Has he
He's missed like the last 6 weeks of a season with like
two back ends of the season.
Back ends,
yeah.
So I mean, I feel like both of them have not finished seasons. If you want me to put it that way, I feel like both of them have not finished seasons. But for me, I feel like Joe Burrow, when it comes to the playoff record, when it comes to doing what he has been able to do, given the circumstances, I know everybody's going to point to the wide receivers. No one likes to point to the offensive line. The fact that he's had some of the worst offensive lines that we've seen thus far, they've retooled that this season. So, I mean, I'm not going to be mad at people saying like it's Lamar based off of last season, but I kind of look at this on how this season is going to go. I think Joe should be fine. I think everything kind of indicates thus far with him being in camp that the wrist isn't really an issue like that. I don't think that we've seen it be an issue. So, of course, I got to go with my guy. But I think that both of these guys are talented. I think that they're both top 5 quarterbacks. I have just seen my guy go at Pat Mahomes and be able to come out of there with a victory and go toe-to-toe with them. So I'm going to take my guy based off of the postseason. So I'm going with Joe Burrow.
Okay. Let me then go with Lamar. Obviously, the MVP year last year.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, MVP last year for Lamar. Healthy season. There's an argument, and I'm fenced about it. The second time he didn't finish the last season was because he didn't have a contract, and it was a contract year. Blah blah blah. Lamar has done a lot for his team. I think. Look, Joe Burrow too.
Surgery? Because why did he get meniscus surgery?
He might have had a clean-out surgery in the offseason, but it wasn't when he got injured. It wasn't surgery that he had to miss the game. Because both times...
Because he do get that diarrhea a lot, too. He always come up with food.
He does have some bowel movement problems. But saying that, Lamar MVP, Lamar in the playoffs, he had that one bad throw and triple coverage that unexcusable. That game was obviously that fumble for Zay Flowers, basically GG that game, because if he scores there, we're down by 3 with like a whole quarter to go. I do think Joe Burrow is an amazing quarterback. So obviously I have Bengals 2, Ravens 1. I think you're talking about 2 guys that are in the top 5. You can say top 3, right? With right now Pat Mahomes being in the king of the hill, and then the 2 of them battling for number 2 and 3. Lamar Jackson coming off of a healthy season, so I'm gonna go with him. If there would have been reverse, that Lamar would have been hurt at the end of the season, I mean Joe Burrow would have been healthy, I probably would have gone with Joe. I will say this, number 2 QB for each room, the Bengals, Brownie, played great last year. We cannot overlook that. Brownie, for sure, has missed my respect. I think Brownie, if he would have been a free agent this year, I would have argued that the Steelers should have gone after Brownie before Justin Fields and Russ.
Now, damn.
Yes.
Damn.
I would have gone with Brownie.
Blame him.
I would have gone. If you told me who you taking a flyer, I would still trade it for Fields and make them compete for the starting Brownie and then Fields. But Brownie had my respects. I mean, people thought nothing.
Did Brownie have more wins than Justin Fields last season? Because I think
He might have.
In less games.
He might have. He might have.
More than Russ? Did he have more than Russ?
He had more than Russ for sure.
Russ? Yeah, how many games? I thought they won like 6 games, right?
Yeah, but they bench him. They bench him in the back end because
did they win any of them games that they benched him?
I think they won 1 or 2.
No,
we have to check. I'll check,
bro. I think he
Anyway, I did want to mention
bad a quarterback has to be for a team to decide we will pay $80 million to get rid of you and not have a plan. They didn't have a plan. That's the thing. I was like, yo, he must suck. They didn't even think of a plan. This wasn't like, hey, we got this boy, we got this backup right here. We gonna eat it, but you know what? We gonna be fine in a couple years. They said we just gonna take whoever falls to us. That's the plan.
Yeah. So my respects to Brownie. I wish he could have been a free agent, not because I'm hating on the Bengals. If he gets buried next year and he doesn't play, which is my anticipation, because I'm not anticipating Burrow to get hurt, then his value.
Okay. I was wrong. The Broncos won. Russie had more wins. I think he had.
They almost made the playoffs, right?
They were battling at the end, but it was without Russ. They ended up benching him. Anyway,
I want to get my lick back on Denver fans who told me I was crazy for saying that the Browns roster had much more potential to be Super Bowl quality than the Broncos did 2 years ago when we was both looking for quarterbacks. And, looks like I was right on that one. So, take that one, Bronco fans. We didn't get Russ. Our quarterback that we did trade for got hurt 10 weeks into the season, and we still made the playoffs, and y'all ain't do jack shit but draft Bo Nix.
Your boy.
DeJuan Jones gonna be better than him. Okay.
So Q, who you have? It's number 2.
I got Lamar at 1. I don't know what it is that I'm hearing about this wrist injury with Joe Burrow. It sounds ridiculous, and I want to make it clear that I am not factoring that in to why I have Lamar at 1 here. I just think this is going to be a weird year for the Cincinnati Bengals. The more I think about it, like it's you look at it going into season, it's going to be the first year where he doesn't have those wide receivers. And Ace makes a good point. I think the offensive line is going to be better, but is it going to be so much better that it's going to be equal to having those 3 guys at wide receiver? T. Higgins not going to sign that the franchise tag. Is that what I'm hearing?
T. Higgins is going to be there.
I think
I heard the last thing I heard was that he is saying he's not going to sign that tag in July.
No, I mean nobody signs the tag.
Josh
right now.
Norman was the last one not to do that, right?
So what Norman did,
what Jesse Bates did. So like he's not going to sign, so he doesn't have to go to camp. He'll probably sign it right before the season starts, and then he'll end up playing. He's already said at his actual training camp that he's playing for the Bengals.
Yeah, true. So what Norman did was he didn't sign the tag because you can sign it during the season. You can sign it anymore. But then late, just like the month before the season started, or the month of the season, like August,
they rescinded the tag.
They took the tag because like T. Higgins hasn't signed at any moment, they can do that, right?
We're not rescinding the tag on T. Higgins.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either.
I'm not saying he's not going to play for the Bengals, but this situation has gotten certifiably weird. Like, and even if it is a situation where he doesn't go to camp, I mean, and that's another reason the Bengals might start slow in a year where like they really shouldn't and don't want to start slow because that's the easier part of their schedule. And then, I mean, like the Bengals with Joe Burrow, they seem to be able to do fine no matter if their schedule's tough or hard. So I don't know. It's just if we're splitting hairs here, I see more reason for Lamar Jackson to have a bigger year this year than Joe Burrow. I think with
me and you in the receiving core. With me and you in the receiving
but
core.
When has he have a receiving core?
And the one thing when we rank the room is them rushing yards do count, and we know he's going to still lead the league. He's still going to lead the team in rushing. Lamar did that every year. Every year.
We have big King this year.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, you got Derrick Henry like the Bucks have Damian Lillard. Like it ain't the same. Okay, like this is not 2014 or not 2016 Derrick Henry walking through that door. This is Derrick Henry number 2 on his second team.
Not that I wanted to derail to basketball, but I was shocked when I saw Hayward.
Mm-hmm.
The Thunder.
Oh,
I'm like, he's in the Thunder. He was in the Thunder bench. I'm like, this dude hasn't retired yet.
Also, like I would just like to point out, man, we compare Derrick Henry to Eddie George a lot. Anybody know the second team Eddie George played for?
No.
Second team Eddie George played for. It was the Ravens?
Nope.
I can't remember the second team Eddie George played
for. It was the Dallas Cowboys, and I thought they thought it was going to be okay because he just had 1,000 yards the year before. Came to Dallas, ran for 400.
Was he like was it like a split backfield that he was in, or was it he was
I think he got hurt or something because he only played in 13 games.
Yeah.
Okay.
That the running backs do collapse fairly quickly. This running
I don't know, man.
And
I'm not saying he's gonna be 2K Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry just seemed like he like built different. Like most runners, he kind of like one of them Frank Gore type dudes that it's like, nah, he might be able to hang on for a little bit longer. I don't think he's 2K.
You don't get to play forever when you 6'4" playing running back.
Yeah, I don't think that he's gonna have. Well, damn, what's the largest amount of rushing yards that Lamar has got? It's like 1,100, right?
It was his MVP year, right? In 2019,
I think he
had like
crossed 1,000 one. No, not 12.
He broke Mike Vick's record, I think, one year. I think he broke Mike Vick's record.
Let me tell you real quick here.
So if it's like to say Derrick Henry can't get 1,000 yards, I don't know if I can go with that.
Derrick Henry, who, like, we know when he was not in that specific system, was not very good.
Yeah, he had 1,200.
1,200? Ooh.
1 year, Lamar. That was 2019.
I don't know, dog, because I was thinking I think at best Derrick Henry gets 1,200, but I think he's closer to like 1,100. I think he's closer to like 1,000 or 1,100 this season.
You were asking me for Lamar's stats, right? Or you said Derrick Henry?
Yeah. I was asking you for Lamar's. So you said Lamar ran for 1,200 his MVP year, right?
The second year, first MVP. Last year he ran for 21.
Lamar
outside of the 3 years where Derrick Henry got over 1,500 yards, those numbers aren't what you think they are.
Well, he has had low years.
490 in 2016, 744 in 2017, to 1,059 with how many yards per carry? So 4.9. It's a pretty good year. But then 2021, 8 games, 4.3 yards per carry, and 937. So not really that efficient of a year. 4.4 yards per carry. He's coming off of a 4.2 yard per carry season. I mean, like, he's already kind of below the threshold the last 3 years. He hasn't gotten above 4.5 yards per carry since 2020.
That's with Ryan Tannehill, dog. It's a little different. If we seen
How
Gus
is it
Edwards,
different? Do you think the Ravens' offensive line is better than the Titans?
I think that quarterback situation and their read option situation is way better. Because if you got to choose between Lamar and Derrick Henry, which one are you taking?
But Derrick Henry's production never came out of read option situations. They were always out of power sprint right or wide zone situations where it was a run all the way. He really wasn't even he was utilizing traditional play action. You don't use Lamar Jackson in traditional play action. Like, they don't do a lot of play action rollouts, play action boots and all.
Ryan Tannehill and Lamar Jackson are two completely different quarterbacks.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you just look at where the production comes from Derrick Henry, and it's very specific when he was super productive, how it's happening, that's not a situation he's going to be in Baltimore. So you then look at these other years where he didn't put up great numbers. And remember, out of a 8-year career, 3 of them have been extraordinary. The other years have been Joe Mixon puts up those numbers, and we don't.
Team. He's going to the number 1 rushing team in the league for like the past 3 years.
But he don't fit that running style.
Well, that's the question. We'll
like
see.
If he went somewhere like the Bengals, I could see that. It's like, yeah, Derrick Henry's not going to eat in our offense. We pass the ball. But like the Ravens, that's what they do.
I think it's not plug and play though, right? Like it's a specific style of running back that fits that system, and that's why that system is successful.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry requires far too much to be built around him to be successful in a already pre-built system. It's like merging a quarterback, and we talked about this with Russ. We talked about this with Deshaun Watson. There are quarterbacks who can run the Shanahan system. There are quarterbacks who can't. If you put somebody like Joe Burrow in the Shanahan system, he's probably not going to look like the full Joe Burrow because Joe's at his best when he can see what's going on after the snap and make a play at that moment versus being told where he has to throw. It's the same thing with Derrick Henry. He's going to a system that's like, hey, you need to cut to the A no matter what, or follow this and do that. That's not Derrick Henry's strength. Derrick Henry's strength is when he gets to string it out a little bit, makes a read after the fact, and then can cut downhill. So either the Ravens are changing their very successful blocking system to fit around Derrick Henry when they have significantly less talent than they had before, or Derrick Henry, 8 years into the league, is going to try to readjust to something that he was not that successful in doing early in his career. I don't really see it working. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm a Derrick Henry hater. Maybe I found this out about myself. But, I mean, like, we clown Joe Mixon's 4.2 yards per carry.
Yeah.
This is what Derrick Henry has been doing. It's been Joe Mixon production in a Derrick Henry suit. So we've been fooled by it. But if I just blindly showed you them running back numbers, you're not about to sit here and tell me that's a running back you fear. That's like, all right, man, we just stay disciplined. We're going to be able to get where you got. And you're playing against the fastest defenses in the league in Baltimore, well, not Baltimore, in Pittsburgh, who has Pat Queen now, in Cincinnati, who has heat-seeking missiles at the linebacker position, and Cleveland, who has J.O.K. and Myles Garrett. So now you are playing in a division where you have multiple defenses 6 times a year that can get downhill quickly before you can get downhill. And what does everybody say about Derrick Henry, including his teammates now? If you get to Derrick Henry before he gets downhill, he's actually not that hard to tackle.
Yeah. You don't want to get him when he's pulling on strides.
Sonny, don't you guys still run the Greg Roman like run scheme? Because you guys didn't change much of that. Like if we put Derrick Henry in a Greg Roman scheme, he's gonna eat.
But okay.
And so this is not the running back one, but I do want to bring up one more point because Ace, you did bring that up. They run the Greg Roman system. And look, you can still run the plays when Greg Roman ain't there. But the one thing that would be nice to have Greg Roman is when you want to make an adjustment to the system. So how are you going to make an adjustment to somebody else's system? When you've been trying to adapt. Look,
you guys know that I wasn't the biggest Gus Edwards fan. I wasn't a hater of Gus Edwards, but I felt like he got a lot of yards just off of Lamar. And I feel like it's going to be the same thing with Derrick Henry.
Hey, man, if that was true, Dalvin Cook would have ate in the playoffs.
I mean, but Dalvin Cook got like late.
There's a reason he didn't play and didn't get brought back, right? Because he don't fit. Like, it's not just anybody. You have to look at the Donta Foreman. I mean, not Donta Foreman. What's his name? Freeman. Donta Freeman. One cut downhill. Oh, he fits great, right? Same thing. Like, you look at all the running backs that have gotten production there. One cut downhill, uncomplicated running processes. The guys who have struggled have been the thinkers at that running back position because not every running back that's gotten carries back there has been super successful. Something to think about.
That's true. Well, with Derrick Henry, the main thing that he tries to do is they try to get him on the boundary with a corner. And if they're able to do that in this division, I'm not saying he's 2K Derrick Henry, but I think he's going to be pretty decent.
If this were a division that didn't have the linebacker speed that they have and the corner strength that they have, I might be there with you. But I think this is a horrible fit for Derrick Henry in a lot of different ways. And maybe I'm right. If I'm right on this will be the victory lap heard around the world. If I'm wrong,
I'm defending D-Head more than you are. You good?
I don't want to say too much because it's not the running back ranking. I don't want to derail the show. I've been trying to just circle you guys back because Ace hasn't even said who's his number one is. Although I know it's the Bengals, for Burrow. He hasn't talked about that, and we're talking about the running
back show next week.
That's true.
Yeah, we
That's
have
true.
to. We have to.
We'll talk about how Derrick Henry is just basically going to be Jerome Bettis.
Oh man.
Trent Richardson in the AAF.
Oh my God. The slander. The slander. Anyway, Ace, before you give me your number one, I'm gonna read a couple super chats and then we'll go on. Last King of Scotland here says Russ is way better than Watson.
That's a Steelers fan. That's definitely a Steelers fan.
It has to. Terrell Williams says 2-4 versus 5-1 in the playoffs, and they play against the same teams. Lamar lost to Titans, Chiefs, and Bills. Burrow beats all of them. Ray Rack here says the NCAA and its leagues are moving forward with more than a $2.7 billion settlement agreement that will allow schools to directly pay players for the first time in the history of college sports. Did not heard that news. Sources said that the parties also have agreed to revenue sharing plans, allowing each school to share up to roughly $20 million per year with its.
So they're making it. So is the NIL still?
It's Power 5, by the way. It's Power 5 exclusive.
Power 5 exclusive. Okay.
Yeah.
So is NIL still there? Is that separate funds or is it?
So NIL is just endorsements, right?
Yeah.
So so you can still get endorsements. This is just a direct payment from the league. Now the details are going to be important on how this thing gets out because these college players don't really have a bargaining agency, so like they're not going to probably get 50% of television revenues like leagues that have a union, but like how much of the television revenues are going to be allocated to college sports, and how are you going to allocate it between all the sports? Like the details are going to be the super important thing. We learned that with NIL, right? The NIL ruling went down, and then we realized we walked into a hellscape with it being unregulated. So, I think how this gets managed by the conferences, the Power 5 conferences, will be key because those are the ones making tons of revenue on, multi-$100 million television contracts. Like we just saw what the SEC signed with ESPN for.
Okay, I think I am up to date with the super chat. So, Ace, talk to me. Bengals number one.
I think I ended up actually talking more about Burrow than I did the Ravens. But like I said, bro, you could put either one of these two guys there. It really probably comes down to preference.
Henry more than everybody.
Yes,
for real. What you like there? Like Sonny said, I think Jake Browning, you can't discount him. I think he was a good story last season. Hopefully down the road he gets a chance to go somewhere. But I think Joe Burrow is back and he's going to be on a mission. I've seen it from his social media. He's already out there throwing now. The funny thing is I think Jamar Chase and T. Higgins aren't there, but he's getting well acquainted with Jermaine Burton, who I think is going to bring a lot to the offense. Also brought in Mike Gesicki as a tight end. Hopefully he can do some things. They got Chase Brown. He's got some weapons. He's got a lot of weapons again this season. I like what they did with the offensive line. I think that one thing that's very interesting, though, is they're changing a lot of the offense from what it was for the first time since Burrow's rookie season. So the one thing that they learned last season, one of the things that have led to Joe Burrow getting hit so much is the fact that he likes to play in an empty offense, right? So what they've done is they've started to marry a lot of more under center stuff with that. So like he's going to do more play action rollouts and stuff like that. He's going to go under center a lot more because they did this last season with Jake Browning. So when Jake Browning first came in, he was like, give me the Joe Burrow offense. And it was a disaster against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It did not work. And so what they did was they tweaked it and they were like, all right, we're going to have you go more under center because that's what you were used to. And I think the Bengals felt like they found something with that last season. There wasn't as much pressure on Browning when he had to throw. It wasn't a whole bunch of rush throws. And I think that they saw that they liked that. So they've already been showing this season that they're implementing a lot of that under center stuff from last season. So I think that will help Joe out. But like I said, bro, you could put either of these teams at number one. I don't think anybody's going to feel a type of way either way. I'm going to go with the Bengals here. So, I think Joe's going to bounce back this season. We'll see how things shake out. This is the toughest division in football, but it's also one of the toughest conferences. And I think when you have maybe even you could probably even throw Deshaun in there. You feel comfortable about your chances competing in the AFC overall as a conference, because this is a conference that still has Josh Allen. You still got Patrick Mahomes. You still have all of these guys. And if you don't have one of these guys, I'm talking to you, Pittsburgh, it's not good. Like, you can do all of that, get to a wild card and all of that, but when your first matchup is Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, or Lamar Jackson, or Josh Allen, you might just get ready to go home. That's just how the NFL is right now with the AFC.
Basically.
Maybe if you played in the NFC, it might be a little bit more in your favor, but the AFC right now is just crazy at the quarterback position. I didn't even talk about the kid over in Houston at all either. So he's going to be here too. So I think it's going to be a good race, man, to see who ends up on the top. But I've got Joe Burrow for obvious reasons, just like Sonny would have Lamar Jackson for obvious reasons.
So you're telling Steeler fans they need to download Peacock.
Yeah, they need to download Peacock. They need to download the
$5.99. Try to get a year subscription if you can.
Mock draft. You need to be looking at quarterback. Mm-hmm. We told y'all this when y'all still have Ben. You need to get a replacement because the AFC is about to come through, and that's what's happened. That was the time when Herbert was there. Now we got even more guys. We got CJ Stroud now. Like it's just gonna get worse and worse. And Aaron Rodgers is here too. So like, I'm just being real. I know you guys don't want to hear it because I'm a Bengals fan, but I am telling you, if you do not have a good quarterback in today's NFL, you're just wasting your time.
Hey, on the bright side, Steeler fans, college football is going to be so much more interesting. Sonny, you're muted.
What good QBs do they have this year in college football?
They don't. None. They actually don't have many good QBs.
None, but you can hope.
I mean, Archie Manning is coming in 2 years, right?
Hey, you know who would make sense? Hey, Pittsburgh, draft Shador. You know, that sounds like a fun mix. Throw him in there with Russ and
Can you imagine Prime criticizing
you imagine Prime being at odds with Russell Wilson?
Oh, Russell will not be there at that moment, but definitely criticizing Tomlin.
Now that's not to say, Steelers fans, that I don't think that you guys can win games. You can win games.
Oh, yeah.
But like I told you years ago, welcome to the Andy Dalton experience. It is going to continue with Russell Wilson. You're going to end up playing teams like Patrick Mahomes, like Andy Dalton did, and then he's going to drop like 40 on your head, and you're going to be sitting there like, yeah, we just don't have it.
Hey, man, Steeler fans going to be begging to get Andy Dalton because they're going to be drafting quarterbacks in the second, third round for the next few years. And look, let's be real about it. Andy Dalton's a terrific pick in the second round, right? Yep. Like, well, he made a Pro Bowl. Look, You ain't even get that with your first round pick. Let's be real about this. They hoping for the Andy Dalton experience right now. You know what they living right now? The John Kitna experience. Hey, bro, can we just get past the year? Every conversation about the team is, hey, if we don't got to throw it that much.
The ones that was here for Charlie Batch and Tommy Maddox and Cordell.
Hey,
welcome back.
Hey, Kelly Smith. You know,
they won't be that bad. They won't be that bad.
They ain't gonna be that bad, but they are gonna be hoping for some better quarterbacks to walk through that door. They're gonna be like, man, they gonna have these conversations a lot. Well, the Eagles got Jalen Hurts in the second round, so why can't this guy work out?
Yeah, good luck with that.
Tom Brady was a 6th round pick.
Okay, we have a couple more super chats before we close it out, and I'll check what the fan base is. Sonny saying the QB room got better, but will still be worse this year. When talking about having Kenny, Mitch, and Mason last year is crazy talk. Not gonna lie, what I said was that the QB room and the offense might be a little bit better, but that the overall record might not be as good this year.
And I'll say it right here. Yeah, I think you're going to be worse this year at quarterback with Russ and Justin Fields than you were with Kenny, Mitch, and Mason. Not because those dudes are better. It's just Russ takes a lot more attention on your offense. Russ takes away carries from Jalen Warren. Russ dictates where the ball goes. You know who's not going to be utilized because Russ and Justin Fields are out there? Pat Freiermuth. Yeah, he might get an extra 300 passing yards. Yeah, he might get an extra, a touchdown through passing, but you're not going to have that production that you want through the ground. You're not going to have that production that you want from the tight end position. Look, man, don't fool yourself. This is not Madden. Just because Russ has a higher overall than Mason Rudolph does not mean that he is what the team needs at the quarterback position more so than, I can't believe I'm saying this, Mason Rudolph, because Mason Rudolph is ultimately somebody you could push to a role. Russ is somebody that you're going to push as the starting quarterback of your team, which means he's going to carry a heavy load on offense. And the more the Steelers rely on the quarterback position for production, the worse they're going to be because they don't have a good quarterback in that building.
And then Elite Dragon here's a Q salty because Browns has never won the North.
Every time somebody brings that up, I forget that that's been the case.
I didn't know that was the case.
Yeah. I don't really sit here and talk about division titles. I don't know. I'm not somebody who's going to get a division title shirt. I'd rather try to get to the conference championship and get to the Super Bowl. That's the stuff I actually care about. But division titles? Was that a Bengals fan or a Raven? A Ravens fan went division title there?
You look like a Ravens fan.
It looks like a Raven fan.
It looks like a Raven fan that went division titles.
It's either a Raven or a Bengal because I don't know if it is a Bengal guy getting a touchdown and two Ravens fans tackling him. I don't know. It's either a Raven or a Bengal. That's as much as I can tell.
If that's Earl Thomas, it might be a Bengals fan. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. You know what I mean?
Why?
Look, usually the division stuff. It comes from Bengal fans because like Raven fans and Steeler fans consistently go to Super Bowl, which does hit harder than you've never won a division. Hey, bro, don't care.
Elite Dragon also says,
"Why is Watson that 1 year of the pandemic? That's better than winning the division." I'm gonna be honest with you, right there. 45 million people on Nielsen saw it too. Don't nobody see you win the division.
Elite Dragon also said, "Why is Watson considered elite when he is watched?" I think nobody
said elite.
Yeah, I don't think
you're hearing things that you want us to say so you could argue against an imaginary point that doesn't exist. Nobody is saying Watson is elite right now. Even Watson diehards aren't saying he's elite.
Also, we have. Are Browns the only team to never win their division? I don't know.
I'm sure there's others, but the reason we don't know that stat offhand is because nobody cares. We know the teams that haven't won a Super Bowl, though. Like that one matters. I'm sorry, you can't go to it over division. Don't nobody give a fuck about the division, dog. Like, yeah, it's cool. Sonny has that top quarter spot, but like, I'd much rather be in second place and get to the conference championship game or whatever it is. Like, it's just, y'all got to find a new one. Bengal, y'all got something y'all can hold over us, but y'all don't be using y'all leverage right. Y'all like to go to the division. Y'all been to a Super Bowl. You could use that. Y'all don't use the right. I'm trying to game y'all up, Bengal fans. This is how you could hurt my feelings better. Because I'm tired of this weak shit that y'all be putting out. Wrap it up. Y'all been too good for too long to be this bad at it.
Fair enough. So next week, we already know what we're going to do. It's going to be running backs. It has to be running backs. Okay, fan vote here has Bengals first 37%. Ravens 29, Browns 22, Steelers with 12%. So Steelers got 12% of the vote there. So look, this is gonna be
sent out the elf signal at one point because it was like Deshaun was creeping up on Lamar. It was like 27%. It was like they was both 27%.
Nah, that's nuts.
that was, yeah. For a moment there.
Like you got to be a psychopath to look at those four quarterbacks and be like, Deshaun's the best one.
Browns fans ain't picking no Raven or no Bengal. They not.
I wouldn't have voted. I'd be like, come on, man. I recuse myself.
But anyway, next week we're going to talk about running backs. So now you know where this conversation is going to start with Derrick Henry. It's probably going to take off.
Ooh, I can't wait for Raven fans to try to act like Nick Chubb isn't better than Derrick Henry.
We'll talk about it. It's going to be a good one.
Hey, man.
It's going to be a good one.
Hey, let me know who y'all got at running back because I legitimately forgot who y'all got.
Oh, man. We probably ain't going to end up being fourth. We probably are automatically going to be fourth. So I'm not.
I forgot who y'all like legitimately.
We got Zach Moss and Chase Brown.
Okay.
Zach Moss wasn't bad last year.
Yeah, Zach Moss wasn't
I
bad.
remember
Chase
Zach
Brown-
Moss.
Yeah.
Chase Brown.
Yeah.
Y'all still got Captain America? Is that still a
We
thing?
still got Chris Evans.
Mhm. Hey man, you see Anthony McFarland in the UFL?
I don't know though, man. I don't know. The Steelers, us and the Steelers might be going at it for fourth place there because Najee with that extension getting declined. I don't know. I don't know. That 5th-year option didn't get approved, my boy.
You working real hard right now, Ace.
Mental gymnastics.
I know. I'm gonna just say one thing. I think Sonny would rather have Zach Moss instead of
Then Najee, yes, but
Najee.
Warren, I like Warren.
He'd rather have Ward though.
Yeah, Najee, for sure.
Hey, if the Steelers traded Jalen Ward between this week and next week, Ace might be cooking.
yeah, Jalen Warren's nice. Yeah.
Rayback here says all divisions, athletes dating back.
Division 1 athletes.
Division 1.
2016 that's dope. So they're doing like some reversal to the guys.
Oh,
the guys that didn't make it. You know, that would be nice for them to get a little piece of that.
Donovan Mitchell's at this game?
For sure. Okay.
That's not good. Donovan Mitchell at the New York Liberty game right now.
Looking to see that New York, feeling that New York vibe.
He going to the Knicks, man.
Nah.
But how he doesn't pair well with Brunson.
208 4 years. Hey, y'all go get DG though. Y'all go give us Austin Reeves for him. You know.
But Brunson, my point is, he doesn't pair well with Brunson. Do you think he pairs well?
No. He's probably, if he goes to New York, he's going to the Nets.
Yeah, he would. Honestly, he wouldn't fit right with Brunson.
That would be crazy. I can't see that. I think he stays in Cleveland.
I think like you said, if he does go to New York, it's probably the Nets. They don't have nobody there.
Let me tell you something, bro. He'd rather be in Cleveland.
Yeah, that's what I would have said the same thing.
Hey, look, the Knicks got something when it comes to allure and luster. Hey, man, more people care about the Cavs than the goddamn Nets. Okay. Yeah, sure. Remember they had KD, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving, and still didn't nobody watch them.
That's true.
That's crazy.
That Brooklyn crowd. Oh, Nova's still here. Excited for Tom Brady to call his first game versus the Browns.
Oh my God! Of course, it's a
Tom Brady. Man.
You know what? I'm excited to hear Nova Stone be excited about the calls that Tom Brady has done. And then a year or two into Tom Brady's play-by-play career, when people inevitably turn against whoever the cool play-by-play guy is, Nova Stone gonna be fighting. He's gonna be like, nah, Tom Brady's still great.
Tom Brady's gonna be on the Hall of Fame of broadcasting now.
It's gonna be interesting to see how a colored commentator with a hive, how that goes down within internet discourse. But that's gonna be fun. Okay,
guys. Well, that will be it for us today. Make sure you come next week. Make sure you hit that bell because we're currently floating the days because it's not season, so we're just vibing with the best schedule for us between the four of us. So make sure you hit that bell. That way you know when we're live. Running back will be the next one, and we're gonna keep ranking all the way till we finish all position groups just before the preseason starts. So make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, so you can come back and get notified. And we will see y'all next time. Peace out.